Discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Roundtable.
You're listening to Roundtable. I'm Steve Hatherley today with Yushan and Yushun. Coming up, something new showed up at a major motorsport event in China recently. It is a new type of gasoline that most drivers have never seen before. And when people online started talking about this particular type of gasoline, the questions got interesting really quickly. So, should you be putting it in your car? That's today on The Why. Our podcast listeners can find us at Roundtable China on Apple Podcast. And don't forget that we love to hear your voice, so you can get in touch by sending your voice notes to roundtablepodcast@qq.com. Once again, roundtablepodcast@qq.com. And now,
we know the who, what, when, and where. But what about the why?
Why?
Tell me why.
Why? It is time for another edition of The Why. It's the segment where we take a trending story that everyone's talking about and ask the deeper questions behind it. It's also an opportunity for Yushan to show us his big brain, where he teaches us a good amount of information about a topic that we might not be familiar with. And today, what a unique topic indeed, because it's something that is surrounding us all the time, every day. There are gas stations everywhere, and for drivers, a trip to the gas station is a weekly trip. Yet, somehow, some way, it still feels unfamiliar to many of us. I think we would agree with that.
Exactly, because at gas stations, we usually see those big signs, 92, 95, and sometimes even 98 gasoline. But this time, we're talking about something a little bit different. But first of all, I may let you guess. What do you think that number means? Because at the first glance, I didn't guess correctly.
Oh, really?
Before I deeply researched the topic.
Okay, so I've seen those numbers. I don't drive in Beijing. I use a bicycle all the time. But I've seen the numbers 92, 95, 98. I'm a little ashamed to admit, I thought that was the price for something. I didn't know what, but I assumed I couldn't be price per liter, because 92 yuan per liter would be an insanely high price for gasoline.
Yeah.
But I didn't know exactly what it was the price for, but apparently I was wrong.
Well, for the numbers, I was told by the dealership of my car upon purchase that I'm advised to just fill in 92 type of gasoline for the car I'm driving at this point. So that's when I learned there's not too much of a difference between 92 and 95 in terms of the performance of the fuel and how controlled or uncontrolled it could be in terms of early combustion. But
You know a lot about this.
And not enough to make a right guess about 103. That sounds like something more expensive and more refined.
Yeah, but that was really, really close, though. And the thing is that, of course, we'll explain what does that mean later. But this time, we're talking about what you mentioned, 103 grade gasoline. And when this story started trending online, people immediately had questions like, are race cars basically drinking rocket fuel now? Does this mean regular gasoline is outdated? Or most importantly, if I put 103 in my car, will it suddenly become faster?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Does my car suddenly turn into a car capable of racing across the Taklamakan Desert? Yeah, and that's where this story came from, right? This was really heavily talked about online because of this particular race.
And also, I know that maybe in other countries, for example, in North America, you usually see numbers like 87, 89, or regular premium, of course. It doesn't mean that it's bad or what. It's just a different measurement system.
It's exactly the same thing. Yeah, and that's why I was unfamiliar with those numbers 92, 95, 98 because I don't think I had ever seen them before. In North America, the numbers are a little bit different. I think they're 87 or I forget what they are.
Yeah.
But Canadian gas station signs, you'll see words like regular or premium unleaded or things like that. You typically don't see the numbers, if I remember correctly, but it's exactly the same thing. It's just how it's shared with people is a little bit different. The information, I mean.
It just even makes more sense that people would think that, okay, the higher the number, the better quality would be, maybe more efficient it could be. And then you pull into a gas station, different numbers, and many people just assume the higher number means more expensive, more premium, and more powerful.
That's true, is it not?
In some way it is, but we will explain it. So the things that this week a brand new number entered the conversation at the 2026 Taklamakan Rally, one of China's biggest and toughest off-road motorsport events. China officially debuted its first domestically produced 103 octane race-grade gasoline. And this is actually a pretty major milestone for the whole industry, actually, because for a long time, high-performance racing fuel used in top-level competitions had to rely heavily on imports. But now China has achieved industrial-scale production of its own 103 racing gasoline designed specifically for extreme motorsport conditions.
So then is this just... So the number, and please forgive my ignorance because I don't know much about the topic of gasoline.
Yeah,
but
that ignorance is shared, Steve.
Good. The highest number you mentioned before was 98?
Yes.
So this is from 98 to 103. Does this just mean it's slightly upgraded by 5?
To be honest, it is. We're talking about like engines running for long periods under some very brutal heat, massive pressure, high RPMs or revolutions per minute. It tells you how fast the engine is spinning, and also in some conditions in desert. Basically, the automotive equivalent of running a marathon while sprinting at the same time. And then suddenly people online began asking all kinds of questions like, why does racing even need a gasoline like that, and what's actually different about it when we're talking about like it's not specifically more efficient, but how it is more premium, how is it better, how is good for a racing car.
And that's when people started asking online too, and fairly, I think.
Yeah.
Can I put this 103 grade gasoline into my car?
Yeah.
People wanted to know that as well.
Yeah. So now I have 3 answers for you to guess that which one is the reason for why do race cars need this 103 grade gasoline in the first place.
Okay.
So A, 103 gasoline burns hotter and creates flames more powerful enough for racing engines. B, race car engines operate under such extreme pressure and temperature that normal gasoline may ignite too early. And C, 103 gasoline
You like that one, Yushan?
I'm just trying to understand that long option.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 3, 103 gasoline is more efficient, so race cars can travel farther without refueling.
I'm going to go with A for now because... Yeah, we know when a motorcycle or a race car is under pressure and it really needs a higher speed and higher level of motor in order for it to move faster and win the number one. So, yeah, faster and higher energy has to be the priority here, right?
I'm going to guess B. Race car engines operate under such extreme pressure and temperature that normal gasoline may ignite too early. That last part doesn't really make sense to me. Might ignite too early. I feel like that's false. But the first part makes sense. Race car engines operate under such extreme pressure. And also, this race is in the desert.
Yeah.
So it's even hotter for these cars to operate. So I'm going to guess B.
Okay, now here's the time to reveal the answer. B.
Hey! Nice.
Yeah, so
No, I shouldn't pretend like I knew that. I was completely guessing.
Yeah, race car engines operate under very, very extremely high pressure and temperature, so ordinary gasoline can ignite too early. And actually, that is the reason why we're identifying the gasoline into different types, 92, 95, 98, and 103.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and actually, before we even get to 103, we should probably answer the basic question first. What do these numbers actually mean? And because a lot of drivers see these numbers every week, probably they don't even know. They probably think wrongly, just thinking that, okay, the higher is better, but I can only afford for the cheapest one or something like that. That's probably actually my mindset.
Yeah, I am recommended to go with 92, but occasionally, once in a while, get 95 as an exchange.
Okay, why do you do that?
I'm advised to. I never know why.
Oh, they told you just do that every once in a while.
Yeah, like every 3 months or every 2 months or something like
really?
that. Get exchange a little bit and switch back to 92.
I've driven for many, many, many years, and I've never really bothered to educate myself on the topic. And I'm suddenly now wondering why I never did that. I guess because I never drove any car that was ultra luxury. So I never felt like I had to worry about the grade of the gasoline. So I always just went for the cheapest option available.
Yeah, like many of the rest of us.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know whether I was doing my engine a disservice or not, or whether I was hurting the car, but maybe we can learn a little bit about that today.
Yeah, well, first of all, the price actually did vary from the different numbers. For example, in Beijing, 92 gasoline costs you around 8.7 yuan per liter, and then 95 is around 9.28 yuan per liter, and then more expensive 98 costs you around 10.78 yuan per liter.
Those are significant price differences.
Yes, when
because
you-
it's per liter, right? You're putting about 40 liters in your tank, or depending on your car, of course. But so that's going to make a big difference especially if you drive a lot and you're burning a lot of gas.
Yes, exactly. The price is different, and they are measuring different things, but surprisingly, they're not measuring how clean the gasoline is. They're also not directly measuring how much power the fuel contains. What they mainly measure is something called an octane rating.
You mentioned that a few minutes ago.
Yes.
And my brain said, what is he talking about?
Octane. So basically, the fuel's ability to resist something called engine knocking, which sounds a little bit not that familiar because inside your engine, gasoline mixes with air, right? And then get compressed, and then the spark plug ignites it at exactly the right moment to create power.
Okay.
But under high temperature and pressure, some fuel can ignite too early before the spark plug fires.
Oh.
And that's why we need 103 to make the fuel steady, right? And then not to ignite too early.
So that's that's kind of like spontaneous combustion,
Yes.
right? It ignites too early and it's not controlled at all. That can't be good for your engine.
And may I ask the outcome of that?
Yeah.
The engine knocking?
Yes, and that's what we call an engine knocking. And knocking is really bad. At best, the engine loses smooth performance, and at worst, it can seriously damage the engine. And that's why racing engines need a special fuel, and you can sometimes even hear it at a metallic rattling sound. Yeah, and that's where numbers come in. Like, 92 gasoline has a lower resistance to knocking. But of course, in our daily lives, when we're driving just a regular car, it works perfectly.
Doesn't matter.
Fine for most regular, naturally aspirated family cars designed for just normal daily driving. And then 95, it's more suitable for engines like turbochargers or higher compression ratios. Many modern SUVs and sometimes luxury cars use 95. And then 98 is even more premium. Some really, really high-performance sports cars, some luxury performance vehicles use 98 octane gasoline. And I can name you some examples: Porsche 911 Turbo S, Ferrari F8 Tributo, Lamborghini Hurricane.
You just named 3 cars I will never own.
But you can buy gasoline for them. You can afford that. But
That's about as close as I can get.
Let's get 98.
yes, but anyway, race cars run at extremely high RPMs with massive pressure and heat for long periods of time, and that's why they require these, higher level or higher number octane gasoline, and that's where 103 racing fuel comes in compared with the regular 98 gasoline. It has even stronger resistance to knocking and faster combustion response and better stability under extreme racing conditions.
Okay, so I have a question because I think for a lot of people, and this was me too when I was driving, I guess I was always under the impression that if I put a higher grade of gas into my car, it would be helping the performance of the car or helping the engine or keep it cleaner or something. I didn't know what, but I just assumed that premium unleaded, which I guess would be the 95,
Yes.
would be better than the regular unleaded, which I guess would be the 92.
Yeah.
I just made that assumption. Is that true?
It is.
It is true.
Yeah, a lot of people online are talking about, if I can afford 95 and there's not much of a price difference, then why 92? If 95 is like the theoretically better one in terms of quality and in terms of how it's producing less carbon or something that can gather in your engine. But then I learned that there are different conditions in terms of driving that can actually affect which grade of gasoline you're getting. Are you traveling most of the time inside a city and get caught up in traffic jam?
Start, stop.
Yes, and or you're often on the highway and running long distance with perhaps over 120 kilometers per hour. So those conditions may really have a difference on the engine, which in turn decides for you which gasoline is better for you. But yeah, that statement that you mentioned earlier, Steve, does exist.
Yeah, and the thing is that, of course, we would think that better fuel in the gas tank, the better performance will have. But the thing is that, of course, you can do that, and it won't do harm on your car. But the thing is that really that necessary, or is that going to be that really different? Probably not, because using fuel with an unnecessarily high octane rating car can simply cost more without giving you maybe extra benefits. It's kind of like wearing a Formula One suit while you will only need to go out and walk your dog.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, of course you can do that. Less wind resistance, but technically possible, but completely unnecessary.
So if your car is designed for, like Yushan's car, they told you just put 92 grade in this, then putting 98 in it isn't going to turn Yushan's car into a race car all of a sudden.
It's not going to change much, and it's only going to make it pricier.
So back to the question that people were asking online. If 103 is so advanced, should I be putting it into my own car? And based on what I've learned today from you both, is the answer is no.
No, probably not. And the correct answer is already in the menu of your car. They will recommend you which type of gasoline you should put in. And most
Can you repeat that sentence, please? Because I think many people might not realize that.
Really? So the correct answer is in the manual of your car.
If you don't know, I promise you there's at least one person listening right now that just went like this. Oh, really?
I have a menu.
Yeah. Where might that be? It's in your glove box, probably. Check the manual, and it'll tell you exactly. And if you lost your manual or something, probably just go on the internet. The information's probably there, too.
And since I think Yushan also mentioned something about like clean or environmental friendly, the gas can be maybe more expensive. It can be. The thing is that there are some fun fact about how clean the gasoline can be right now. Modern gasoline today is actually already dramatically cleaner than it used to be. Compared with China's early National 1 type fuel standards, the latest National 6 fuel has, drastically reduced some additives like sulfur, olefins, and aromatic compounds, helping reduce vehicle emissions and improve air quality a lot. Although, like ordinary family cars don't need these 103 octane gasoline, achieving industrial scale production of it is still a significant milestone, and I think that's why we're talking about it today.
Yeah, and also the smell. You mentioned it. Like 10 years ago, the gasoline combustion smell, it smells so thick. And nowadays,
give you a headache.
Yeah, even if you roll down all of your windows while you're put up in the middle of a traffic jam, you don't really smell much. I'm not sure if it's the same for 103.
Yeah, and from the first version or first standards to the sixth one, China has completed in just over 2 decades a fuel quality upgrade process that took maybe many developed Western countries more than half a century. So these improvements have helped significantly reduce pollutants, first of all, and such as particulate matter and nitrogen oxides in vehicle emissions, and again, contributing to much better in air quality.
Yeah, I hope today's segment didn't drive the NEV drivers, listeners away because they don't need it. But yeah, really, us gas car drivers, we really value this type of innovation, and we see it as something that we can take pride on, even if it's not going to end up in our own tank in our cars.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's not even going to be for sale at your average gas station.
Most likely. Yeah.
Nobody's pulling into the gas station downtown Beijing in an F1 car, I would assume.
And the speed maybe cannot
true.
reach the limit that you can
Traffic doesn't
get.
allow.
That is also very, very true. What a great learning experience. What a great learning experience this entire show was today, as a matter of fact. Thanks a lot for that, Yushan. All inspired by the motorsport race on the Taklamakan Desert. 103 grade octane gasoline that race cars use now developed by China. All right, that'll do it for today's roundtable. Thank you very much for hanging out with us today. Hope you enjoyed the show. We had a great time, as we always do. I'm Steve for Yushan and Yushan. Enjoy yourself and come back again next time.